don't understand why every time I think of a specific key, I will play the root chord of that key. I think C major, I will play a C major chord. This is the very first picture that I see right here. C major key, C major chord, E minor key, E minor chord. It's insane. But what if I can change that and play a completely different chord? I think C major key, I play an F minor and then the C. Such a totally different chord progression. You see how the C major is now not just a basic flat chord, but it has way more value. It sounds way better if we play something before. I mean, this F minor is just an insane, beautiful chord to be played before the C. And so in this video, I want to show you a bunch of chord progressions that don't start with the root chord. And you will see how powerful the root chord can be when we actually postpone it and we play cool chords around it. So pretty interesting lesson. If you want to know more about chord functions, as we're going to talk numbers here, for example, chord 1, chord 4, chord 5. If you want to know more about chord functions, make sure that you check my other video where I talk about it so that you can learn the difference between, the chord 1 and the chord 4 and the chord 6 within a certain key. Now the first chord progression is in C major and it sounds like this. We are playing the fourth and the first, so the F major and the C major, but we're actually transforming the F major into an F minor chord. It's a beautiful way to kind of, anticipate the root chord. It sounds beautiful, and the F minor chords really creates a lot of tension that resolves beautifully onto the C major chord. Next chord progression in E major, it sounds like this. So in this case, we are playing the 2, 4, 1, 5. So I'm gonna play the F sharp minor as the first chord. So the second degree, then we have the A major, which is the fourth, and then we finally play the root chord, the E major chord, and from here we go to the fifth chord, the B major. Now one of the things that I like about this chord progression is that we're going from the fifth chord back to the second, to the F sharp minor, and so the fifth don't really resolve to the E major chord, but goes back to a subdominant chord. So we can create this beautiful endless loop. Next chord progression is in a minor key, is in A minor. And I want to show you how we can empower this A minor chord by playing the fourth chord before the root chord. So we're going to be playing the D minor chord and then the A minor. It sounds like this. So you can hear how the D minor chord makes the A minor sound even sadder and more dramatic. The D minor, and then we resolve to the A minor chord. You add a simple arpeggio. Now in the next example, we are in a B minor key, and you'll see how we can't even figure out the key until we actually strike the root chord. It sounds like this. So this chord progression is the 4, 6, 7, and 1. So we're in B minor, but we can't really grasp the key at the beginning, right? We have E minor and G, so we think, are we in E minor? But then we have the A major chord, which is going to bring all the doubts, like A major is not really a chord that is part of the E minor key. It's a beautiful sound, and then we resolve to the root chord, the B minor. And then we think, yes, indeed, this is the root chord. So we are in B minor key. So again, here you can create an endless loop which never really reveals the key up until you actually strike the root note. Another example of postponing the root chord would be this one. We are in D minor. A pretty interesting chord progression. 6, 7, 5, and 1. It's the B flat major, the C major, the A minor, and the D minor. Now, one interesting thing about this chord progression is the fact that the A minor is kind of really unexpected. Meaning, when I play the B flat and the C, I feel that this C major really wants to resolve to the root chord, the D minor. And this is a really popular chord progression. But what if we can postpone this D minor and add another chord? We definitely can. So we're playing the B flat, the C, the A minor, and the D minor chord. Really interesting approach. Keep postponing this root chord, and really beautiful chord progression as well. Another obvious example is the 4-1 in a major key. So if we are in E major, we will be playing the A major, going to the E. We can make it a little bit more interesting if we play chords such as this one. But this is still a pretty, common and overused chord progression. We can also postpone the root chord with a much softer chord progression, meaning we don't necessarily have to keep hiding the root chord. For example, if I play this chord progression, now we are in A major and we're playing the 4, 3, 2, and 1. It's a beautiful chord progression, and it doesn't really hide the root chord. Instead, it's actually a really nice chord progression that walks you towards the root chord. D major 7, C sharp minor 7, B minor 7, and the beautiful A major 7 chord. Guys, I'm going to leave you with the last chord progression, which is also the kind of more interesting. It's played with all major chords. We are in E major, meaning the root chord is the E major. But we're going to play 3 major chords before the root chord. It sounds like this. So I'm playing the second degree and then the fourth degree, and then I'm playing the C natural. So I'm definitely picking this chord from a different key, because we all know that in E major the C is supposed to be sharp, so we have a C sharp minor chord. But in this case we are borrowing this chord from another key and we're playing the C major chord, and from here we're going back to the E major. So the second degree played with a major chord, the fourth degree major, the flat 6 played with a major chord, resolving on the E major chord. Really interesting, kind of awkward way of postponing the root chord, but definitely worth give it a try. Guys, I'm going to leave you to practice these chords. One thing really important, make sure that you learn these chords and then come up with your chord progression. Find a way to postpone the root chord. And also, really important, if you start writing your chord progression, make sure that you write them down or record it, because sometimes you write something really cool and then you forget about it and then you don't know what were you playing or you can't remember it. So make sure that you always document your journey, document all the things that you learn. It's really, really important, okay? Now, practice these chords. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys, and I'll see you next time for another lesson.